in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving higher, time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving higher.
Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast, Tax Moves with Glenn Birnbaum. Glenn is a CPA with Heinel Banhort out of East Peoria, Illinois. And Glenn, this edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by Dawson Tire and Wheel, your premier ag tire and wheel provider in North America, and Tractor Zoom, delivering insights. Glenn, we had you're getting to become a frequent guest here, man. You're on about as much as everybody else is. So, but there's lots of stuff to talk about. And the last time you were on here Friday, they had passed the tax filing deadlines and payment out to June 15th for your first quarter estimates, as well as your overall 2019 income tax filing and payment deadlines out to June 15th. And they just released some regulations, some different scenarios, frequently asked questions, those kind of things about that whole scenario. So, Glenn, what do you know about the new turn here in the COVID-19 tax saga?
Yes, so it's Wednesday, about 8 a.m. Central, March 25th. Here when we're talking, we got to have the timestamp because this thing changes all the time.
That's right.
So it is. It's actually July 15th,
July
not
15th,
June 15th
sorry.
for most of these things, but no worries. So yeah, last Friday we talked about this notice 2020-18 that came out from the Treasury Department that mentioned, kind of confirmed that we do get this extension of the filing deadline, not just the payment deadline. And so yesterday, Tuesday, the IRS came out with 24 frequently asked questions. And so we thought we'd just go over some of those today. Some of these kind of confirm what we already knew, but it's nice to see it in a question and answer format, right? To make sure we know what's going on. But yeah, that's kind of the news of the day at this point.
Right on. Okay, so give me a scenario here where we're talking like IRAs and those kind of things. So how's that all going to work out?
Yeah, that was one of the questions we weren't quite sure on. There's actually still a little bit of confusion and about, if the statute says one thing and just because a frequently asked question says another, does that really matter? But they specifically say, does this give me more time to contribute to my IRA for 2019? And the answer is yes, you have until July 15th to make that payment. So any sort of retirement plan kind of contribution, IRAs, SEPs, even something called a cash balance plan. So these you basically have more time to make the payment July 15th. So that was clear. Another thing we didn't really talk about last time, but there's certain people that have health savings accounts. And again, typically there you've got until April 15th to make that contribution to your health savings account. And now, again, they specifically say you have until July 15th. So that's nice to, again, see it kind of in black and white.
Okay. The other question I had for you was I heard, so the payroll tax thing has been on again, off again, debated, not debated, those kind of things. But they were talking about maybe having a payroll tax holiday. Have you heard anything more about that?
I'm not sure on that. Last night they said they've got agreement, with this, basically the Senate on this third phase of the COVID relief bills. We haven't seen the new text, so we're not 100% sure. I don't know that there's going to be a payroll tax holiday. There could be some sort of credit, which I guess you could view as a holiday to some degree, but I think it's mostly going to be on the employer side, employer payroll tax side, where you might have more time to actually make your payroll tax deposits. You'd have, 6 months, even a year or so possibly. But what they're doing for individuals is more of just a direct payment, through direct deposit kind of concept, or write a check. And what we know about that, again, in the most recent Senate bill, which this probably could change, but the most recent Senate bill from just about 7:30 p.m. last night was, $1,200 per person, $500 per child. So at this point, I'm not sure there's going to be an employee payroll tax holiday like there was a few years ago.
All right, Glenn. So the health savings account, which I've got, we talked about the retirement stuff. We've talked about just the overall extension stuff. So what else is out there that we need to make sure people know about?
Well, again, just kind of looking at this frequently asked question, it does also apply to, trust and estate income tax returns. Trust and estate income tax returns, where you've actually got a trust set up and there are situations where the trust needs to pay income tax. That was probably a given, but again, it's nice to see. One thing, it does not apply to estate and gift tax returns. So this would be, estate, gift tax type returns. So not income tax returns in this case. This is, somebody dies or you make a big gift, you've got to file a tax return by April 15th. According to this FAQ, those would still be due April 15th. Probably one of the most confusing parts, which we talked about last time, is the second quarter tax estimate. And at the top of the show, you mentioned June 15th, and you were thinking about the second quarter tax estimate, which is due June 15th.
Right.
So the first quarter tax estimate, because it's due typically on April 15th, is now due July 15th. So basically any payment, right, due April 15th, you have until July 15th. So that means that the second quarter estimate is actually due before the first quarter estimate for 2020.
Okay. How's that? I don't see how that works.
Yeah, it's weird, but they did, they specifically put it in. It's question number 16. That's what they said. So there's still a bit of confusion about how you'd actually do that and in the software and stuff, but they're sticking to their guns that the second quarter estimates for 2020 are still due June 15th.
You figured they'd just have everything due on July 15th just to make it easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think so.
But I guess no one asked my opinion. IRS didn't call me.
So that's one thing. And the other thing to remember is, we're just talking about the federal tax rules. The state rules are all different. A number of states have switched over. Theirs is going to be due July 15th, but some of them have not yet. They're waiting on that. So it's possible that you'd have to file your state tax return or make your state payment, income tax payment, and not make your federal. So again, just more confusion here.
Mm-hmm. All right, so one of the questions I had for you, too, was about sick leave and how that works. So there's some sick leave questions that have come up that have bounced around a little bit. The government has done some amending, I guess, to the Department of Labor has done some amending to what sick leave looks like and how that whole thing plays out for businesses and stuff like that. How is that sick leave going to affect a taxable situation? My kid gets sick or I get sick with this thing and I'm down for 2 weeks to a month or whatever it looks like. Is that going to be counted just like regular income, or is there some kind of a bereavement there or some kind of a holiday for that time you're sick? I'm
not 100% sure. I haven't quite kept up on that side, but you're talking from an employee perspective, right?
Correct.
Is the income taxable? I would speculate that it is still subject to income, but because otherwise, then the business, generally would not be able to deduct it. So,
right.
But there is a whole nother, which we just don't have time to talk about. There's a whole nother. That was the second aid bill that was passed, was how to deal with sick leave and paid time off and things. And that's still being worked through. There's still quite a bit of, procedure on how this is actually going to work.
Yeah.
And this Senate bill, so basically you had the phase one was the SBA disaster relief program, which, again, not sure I have quite all the information on the disaster relief program, but it's more typical like in hurricanes or that type of situation. So that was phase one. Phase two is this sick leave, paid time off kind of expansion, and that, my understanding, that's all effective April 2nd. So we still have some time here actually in order for that to truly be in effect. And then phase three is this bill that's this big stimulus bill. Now they're saying $2 trillion with another $4 trillion of like Federal Reserve funding or backing to make it $6 trillion. But phase three is this Senate bill that, again, from what we understand, according to reports this morning here, is that they've agreed on it, but we haven't seen the final text. And so that's got the $1,200 per person, or at least in the most recent version. It's got some of the things we talked about by changing the interest expense limitation rules from 30% of EBITDA up to 50% of EBITDA. So basically it allows businesses, to deduct more of their interest expense. It has some fixes in there for depreciation. It possibly is going to allow us to carry back a loss in 2019 or 2018, carry that back to prior years and get some tax back. So there's been quite a few, proposals that are changing in there. And then there is some expansion of the SBA loans that I hope to be able to talk about once I know for sure it's in the bill, because this could be a pretty big deal. Loans to small businesses, not under the disaster relief provisions, but under a more traditional statute that's in the SBA program.
Right. Okay. So the other thing too, I wanted you to hit on. This is what I forgot a minute ago. When it came to retirement plans, so there is they're throwing that kind of like a hardship type of deal right now out there, to where you can still take the money out of your IRA, your 401k, or whatever it is, and forego the 10% tax penalty, but you're still going to be taxed at your normal income tax rate, correct?
Correct. Okay. Yes.
Okay. So
yep. So
that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. So it's allowing you to pull that out. Again, we're not sure exactly what'll. I've heard $100,000. You may be able to then pay it back in over a number of years, but you're kind of right. It's basically like a hardship thing.
Okay.
That is really in the Senate bill. So it's not official. It's not part of this frequently asked questions yet, but it seems to have survived about every revision that I've seen. So it's probably fairly likely that there will be some ability to pull money out of your 401k if you need it.
Okay.
Hardship.
Well, good deal, Glenn. Anything else that you want to throw out there right now?
No, I think that's probably sufficient. We're staying on top of it, and hopefully, again, if this bill does get passed today, we see the text, the language, we can talk further about what the government's trying to do here to help out small businesses. Those in particular, there are some exceptions, but in particular those under 500 employees to get access to some credit that they may not have available currently. So we're staying on top of it, and possibly we'll do another podcast here pretty quick. So,
yep, yeah, there's a lot of stuff changing here, and hopefully this doesn't happen to the economy with the COVID-19 thing going crazy. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, one other thing I did forget to mention: there was some question about July 15th is the deadline to file your return. What if you file an extension, July 3rd or something? How long do you have to file your tax return?
Yep.
And the answer is it's still the same October 15th.
Okay.
Some people were thinking, well, you'd get a 6-month extension from July 15th, which would make it January 15th. But no, it'd be October 15th. So
right on. Well, Glenn, good stuff as usual. This is an ever-changing landscape, and I mean, I will take my hats off to the government here. They have done a great job of fast tracking a lot of things that would normally take decades to get past. So, good hats off to everybody for what they're doing there. But Glenn, if folks want to reach out to you and get some more information about what Heindel Banhort does, and just pick your brain about just some good old-fashioned tax stuff, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, it's best to call our office, and even though I'm not in the office, it'll ring to my cell phone. But our office number is 309-694-4251, and just ask for me. Again, it'll ring to my cell phone, and then you can also look me up on Twitter at Glenn Birnbaum is my handle.
Right on. Well, good deal, Glenn. You keep safe, buddy. Take care of yourself, and enjoy your working from home. I'm sure, like many Americans, you're been cooped up here for a while, and some people, they do it every day, but for us that don't do it every day, it's getting old. So
yeah.
So, Glenn, take care of yourself, and can't wait to talk to you about this upcoming Senate bill. Hopefully it gets passed today. I know it got voted on last night. Hopefully everything got passed, and we can move on here with some new info.
All right, Casey, I appreciate it.
All
Thanks.
Right. I'm Casey Seymour with Moving Iron Podcast. Check out me on social media at Moving Iron LOC. on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check out the movingironllc.com website. Also, the Global Ag Network and all the great podcasters out there. So for Glenn Birnbaum, I'm Casey Seymour. Till next time, let's go with some iron, folks. Out.
Moving higher in the 21st century. Hard work